Welcome to a journey through ancient myth, where we'll explore the fabled tale of the Calydonian Boar and Meleager. In this tranquil recollection, we delve into the enigma of Meleager, whose destiny is entwined with a burning log and leads heroic figures against the fearsome Calydonian Boar. We wander through the threads of fate, heroism, and the binding ties of family. As you settle in for a restful night, allow these timeless whispers to guide you into slumber. And now, let the tale unfold. In the peaceful land of Calydon, nestled among lush landscapes, majestic olive groves, and flowing rivers, there was once an unyielding routine observed by its people. Every passing year, under the gentle yet watchful eyes of the heavens, King Oeneus led his subjects in solemn offerings to the gods who watched over their land. This ritual was thought to ensure the prosperity and harmony they enjoyed. However, in a moment of forgetfulness or distraction, King Oeneus overlooked the offering meant for Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and the wilderness. This omission, seemingly minor in a world woven tightly by ritual and respect, drew the ire of Artemis. The goddess, known for her grace but also for her fierce protection of her domain, could not forgive the slight. Her anger simmered, not in loud outcries, but in a quiet yet potent determination to remind Oeneus and his people of the reverence due to the divine. Thus ignited a destiny that would intertwine the fates of Calydon's inhabitants, long before they realized it. In her divine retribution, Artemis chose a fearsome creature, a formidable embodiment of her wrath. From the shadows of her domain came the Calydonian Boar, a beast of unmatched ferocity. Its presence was heralded by the disturbed whispers of rustling leaves and the crackling underbrush as it trod through the forests. This boar, massive and relentless, soon emerged into the cultivated lands, trampling crops under its mighty hooves, as if the earth itself could barely contain its anger and strength. The morning following the first attack broke with hues of red and orange as dawn lit the horizon, though now it seemed an omen rather than a promise of peace. The villagers of Calydon awoke to find their fields destroyed, once prosperous with ripening grains, now a testament to chaos and ruin. Panic seeped into the hearts of the people, their fears growing alongside the spreading tales of the boar's destruction. When the tremors of apprehension reached the palace, King Oeneus realized the magnitude of what Artemis's anger had unleashed. Seeking counsel, he clad himself in the wisdom of past kings. He knew that to atone for his oversight and quell the fear clutching the hearts of his people, he would need to seek help beyond the walls of his dominion. So, he called upon his messengers, sending word throughout the land for heroes willing to face the monstrous boar, a task no ordinary human would dare undertake. As the days stretched on, the dread of the boar's presence pressed heavier upon Calydon. The beast did not slumber nor retreat. It continued its rampage, leaving behind a trail of devastation that touched every corner of the kingdom. Crops were lost, and even the bravest souls were cautious to speak its name openly, for fear of summoning its wrath. In hushed tones, tales of the boars might reverberated through villages and farmlands, carried by both the wind and the mouths of men. They spoke of tusks sharp enough to break shields, of a hide so thick it turned aside arrows meant to harm it. Travelers from distant lands recounted their own encounters, stories of narrow escapes adding layers of dread to the already growing anxiety among the people. Recognizing the despair settling over his subjects, King Oeneus knew that action had to be swift. The call to arms was clear and unwavering. It was a cry for heroes, for those whose names were etched in the annals of valor, to step forward and challenge the beast. In exchange for their bravery, the land promised them not only fame and riches, but the honor of restoring peace to a kingdom smitten by divine wrath. So, the words of King Oeneus's plea continued to travel across the realms, a beacon for the brave and noble. While the kingdom awaited the arrival of its saviors, the looming presence of the Calydonian Boar remained, an ever-present reminder of the potent bond between mortals and gods, and the capricious nature of forgetting the respect owed to those who dwell on Olympus. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues that mirrored the colors of the destruction wrought by the creature, the people of Calydon settled into an uneasy slumber. They took solace in the hope that their savior, their hero, was on his way, driven by the call that emanated from their fearful hearts, a hero upon whom destiny turned its gaze. Meleager. In the heart of the ancient land of Calydon, there was a young man named Meleager, known for his remarkable abilities and noble spirit. From the time he was a child, whispers surrounded him, for at his birth, the fates had delivered a prophecy that would loom over his life like a shadow. It was said that Meleager's life was bound to a simple log, and only as long as it remained unburned would he live. This unusual prophecy was delivered to his mother, Alaea, with the gravity only destiny could muster. Upon hearing these weighty words, Alaea made a decision that was both protective and desperate. She carefully took the log and placed it deep within the hearth of the family home, nestled it among the ashes and embers where it would stay hidden but safe. As the years passed, Althea watched over Meleager, nurturing him with a love that was both tender and fierce, aware that his life was inextricably tied to that piece of wood. Meleager grew into a young man of promise, his bravery and honor shining brightly in the minds of all who knew him. Stories of his feats spread, and admiration trailed him like the gentle melodies of a lyre in the spring air. Despite the silent shadow of prophecy, Meleager chose to embrace life fully. He was a defender of the weak and a voice of reason, earning the respect of many alongside the pride of his father, King Oeneus. As the seasons changed and years flowed like streams through the lush valleys of Calydon, Meleager's courage remained steadfast. He lived as if unconcerned by the chains of fate that others whispered about, perhaps believing that by living a life of valor, he could somehow defy the prophecy laid before him. His days were filled with the tranquility of hunting and the companionship of friends, where each day's horizon seemed to paint a new adventure. In the twilight hours, he often found himself gazing into the hearth, where the logs crackled gently, their warmth a comforting presence. There, nestled amongst the embers, lay the log that was both his lifeline and his tether to destiny. Those moments by the fire were pensive ones, filled with a quiet reflection on the path his life might take and the loves and loyalties that defined him. One day, the tranquility of the gentle Calydonian breeze was pierced by a message from King Oeneus. The curse of Artemis had left the land in peril, and heroes were called to protect the realm from the monstrous boar that wreaked havoc upon it. The call resonated deeply within Meleager, a summons that stirred more than just duty. It rekindled the connection to his fated tale. There was no hesitation. Meleager's resolve was as firm as ironwood, grounded in the duty he felt toward his people and the land he cherished. He saw in this call a chance to live with the honor and courage that were the hallmarks of his spirit, perhaps even to defy his fate. The call of adventure, of a trial fit for heroes from tales and legends, rang through his heart like a clarion call, awakening the essence of his being. With the decision made, Meleager stood poised on the threshold of a journey that would bind him with companions in a hunt for glory and protection. It was a decision that shimmered with the same warmth that danced in the hearth where his destiny lay smoldering, waiting patiently amidst the flames. As the twilight deepened around Calydon, it cloaked Meleager in a sense of purpose that was as old as the stars themselves. Destiny was interwoven with courage and family, and the time had come for Meleager to embrace what lay ahead. The call to action was the promise of legend, waiting on the precipice of fulfillment. In the heart of Calydon, where the fruits of earth met the wisdom of man, Meleager set about orchestrating a gathering of valorous souls. Spurred by an inner call, he knew the task that lay ahead required not just strength but an alliance of great minds and skillful hands. The fields of Calydon, awash in vibrant greens and golds beneath a hopeful sky, provided the perfect stage for this congregation. Here, amid the whispers of the springtime breeze, the heroes arrived, answering the noble summons. From far and wide, illustrious figures of renowned prowess made their way to this call to arms. Among the arrivals was the fleet-footed Atalanta, whose reputation as both a huntress and an athlete preceded her. Like a whisper of wind she came, her presence a testament to the gravity of the situation. Her agility and independence were qualities that were well known, and here she was, ready to lend her talents to this perilous pursuit. Alongside her stood others, each with their own tales of heroism, drawn together by the shadow of the monstrous boar ravaging their land. Meleager, watching his peers assemble, felt the weight of leadership rest upon his shoulders. He was no stranger to courage. His life had been a testament to bravery against the odds. Yet this moment carried a unique solemnity, the convergence of destinies, and the fulfillment of prophecy looming large. His father, King Aeneas, had placed this burden upon him, and now it was his time to rise to the occasion. His voice, steady and calm, was like the gentle current of a river as he addressed the assembled heroes, laying bare the seriousness of their undertaking. Atalanta, standing among the warriors, nodded in agreement as Meleager spoke. Her eyes, sharp and reflecting her resolve, scanned the faces around her. Each warrior here had something to prove, not to the world, but to themselves. There was a palpable sense of camaraderie, an understanding that each life here was tethered to the others, their fates intertwined in this grand tapestry. Meleager's leadership impressed them all, his confidence reassuring those who still harbored doubts about the dangers they would face. Preparations for the hunt proceeded with both vigor and purpose. The heroes examined their equipment, checking the sharpness of blades and the strength of arrows. Supplies were gathered, and strategies were quietly discussed among smaller groups. It was a picture of organized chaos, where the buzz of excitement merged seamlessly with the undercurrent of anxiety. Atalanta's skill and speed, in particular, were praised, for it was well known that her unique talents would be pivotal in the crucial moments of the hunt. Meleager himself recognized her unrivaled skill and counted himself fortunate to have her by his side. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the fields, Meleager felt a growing sense of unity among the company. Bonds were forming, weaved together by shared purpose and resolve. This alliance of heroes was like a mosaic, each piece unique yet contributing to the greater whole. Meleager gazed upon his companions, feeling a sense of rightness about this venture. Here, amid laughter and the clink of armor, he understood that these moments defined their journey, laying the groundwork for the trials to come. The gathering of warriors was a spectacle in itself, but it served as just the beginning of their tale. The true test lay ahead in the wilderness, where the Calydonian Boar awaited them with menace yet unseen. The beast, a formidable foe sent as a divine punishment, was more than a threat. It was a challenge to their very essence as heroes. Yet for now, hope prevailed, nourished by the springtime air and the undeniable bond of their newfound fellowship. With plans set and spirits buoyed, Meleager led the group towards the next phase of their quest. The heroes, their silhouettes noble against the glowing horizon, were more than ready for the task ahead. As they prepared to take their leave, hearts and minds focused on the quest, a silent promise lingered among them, a vow to see this undertaking through to its very end, whatever the outcome may be. And in that shared silence, there was an understanding that this was only the beginning, their destinies barely awakening to the song of its course. The heroes, their hearts brimming with courage and camaraderie, ventured into the bewildering depths of the Calydonian forests. The trees, ancient and towering, stood as silent witnesses to the unfolding of destiny, their leaves whispering tales of grandeur and peril. Despite the tranquility of the woods, a palpable tension lingered in the air, for somewhere amidst the foliage lay their formidable adversary, the Calydonian Boar. Each step taken by Meleager and his valiant companions carried them closer to the inevitable confrontation, as the prophecy hung quietly over their mission like a specter. As the group traversed deeper into the forest, the landscape shifted around them, revealing hidden trails and aromatic blooms. The allure of beauty was matched by the risk of danger, blending seamlessly in this ancient domain. The sun cast dappled shadows through the leafy canopy, adding an ethereal touch to their quest. An unspoken understanding thrived among the hunters, their senses heightened, their every move calculated. Silence reigned as they tracked the elusive creature, a master of its domain and a bane to their lands. Suddenly it was Atalanta, fleet-footed and keen-eyed, who first detected the presence of the monstrous boar. Her swiftness served as an invaluable asset, enabling her to glimpse the beast before the others. The boar, with its hulking form and fearsome tusks, embodied the wrath of Artemis incarnate, a blight upon Calydon's people. Though the beast had kept its distance initially, Atalanta's subtle movements and persistent attention transformed a moment of hiding into one of revelation. The Calydonian Boar, feeling the intrusion upon its kingdom, wasted no time charging toward the heroes with an unrelenting ferocity. The serene paths of the forest erupted into chaos as the ground shook beneath the beast's thundering advance. Trees swayed in its wake, a testament to its overwhelming power. Meleager, who had anticipated such a fierce reaction, quickly rallied alongside Atalanta, their combined agility outlining a path of coordinated resilience amidst the unfolding disorder. As the charging boar veered through the paths, the heroes displayed their prowess in battle, weaving through the debris that littered their surroundings. Yet, the true danger laid bare as the boar exhibited its incredible strength during these initial skirmishes. The daunting task took shape, not just as a fight against a physical adversary, but against the unyielding curse bestowed upon them by the gods. Each brush with the creature revealed layers of its deadly capabilities, proof of Artemis's ire etched into the boar's every movement. Realizing the gravity of their mission, Meleager, with Atalanta as his closest ally, guided the heroes into a strategic regrouping. They withdrew momentarily into the forest's embrace, catching their breaths and exchanging quiet words. Confidence and courage permeated the atmosphere, yet wisdom dictated a pause, an opportunity to recalibrate their approach against a foe requiring more than brute strength. The forest, silent and watchful, seemed to encourage their brief respite, understanding the necessity of reflection. The group, now steady and synchronized in their resolve, began devising a novel stratagem. Under Meleager's leadership, they explored the intricacies of a tactical barricade, which would allow them to guide the boar to a narrowed passage where its size and speed would work against it. Atalanta's insight into the beast's movements contributed significantly to their tactical evolution. Her ability to outpace its swift aggression proved a cornerstone in arranging their plan for the next encounter. The heroes, having assessed their options, stood emboldened by an emerging sense of unity and purpose. The boar, a formidable opponent whose strength they now intimately recognized, remained within the treacherous folds of the forest. Yet the resolve of these legendary figures did not wane, for together they would channel their skills, infusing their pursuit with cleverness and bravery. As the sun began its descent, casting longer shadows upon the earth, the heroes prepared to test their newfound strategy against the mighty specter that safeguarded the curse of Calydon. Their preparations complete, they attuned themselves to the challenges that awaited, a hunt demanding both strength and inventiveness. With the forest's whisper as their backdrop, Meleager, Atalanta, and their fellow warriors embraced the enormity of their task. The next silence would hold in its depths the echo of destiny as the heroes embarked once more into Artemis's domain. Balances tipped precariously between disaster and triumph, endeavoring to outwit their colossal opponent. As the sun began its descent and shadows lengthened across the Calydonian forest, the heroes found solace in a small clearing, where a crackling campfire now symbolized the warmth of unity amidst the uncertainty of their mission. The glowing embers highlighted the resolve etched upon the faces of Meleager and his companions, who nursed their wounds in reflective silence. The day's earlier encounter with the ferocious Calydonian Boar had taught them the enormity of their task. It was a beast of formidable strength and cunning, a challenge that demanded more than brute force. Atalanta, the swift-footed heroine who had first laid eyes on the beast, broke the silence with a thoughtful suggestion. Her prowess lay in her speed, and she proposed they use this to their advantage, crafting a plan to lure the boar into a cleverly constructed trap. Her words rang with clarity and direction, inspiring Meleager and the others. Meleager, ever the discerning leader, acknowledged the brilliance of her idea. His appreciation was evident as he nodded, weaving her strategy into a broader plan that sought to outwit their foe with guile and precision. Their prior encounter had shown that direct confrontation was futile, and thus Meleager proposed a series of diversions designed to confuse and scatter the boar, leading it into the trap laid by Atalanta. The heroes listened attentively as they mapped out these diversions, becoming architects of their fate. It was essential that every member knew their role and played their part to perfection. Each diversion relied on the cunning of its executors and the unwavering courage true to their heroic names. As the final rays of daylight surrendered to the azure canopy, the heroes took strategic positions throughout the forest, a living tapestry woven with anticipation and purpose. The forest itself, with its dense thickets and twisting paths, would become both ally and adversary in these coming hours. Each tree, rock, and shadow seemed to take on new meaning, an integral piece in the grand design of their strategy. Amidst the rustle of leaves and whisper of the evening breeze, nerves began to tighten, and the weight of expectation loomed. Yet, in the heart of this waking nocturne, Meleager stood as a beacon of resolve. He addressed his companions with a calm assurance, imparting words of courage and solidarity. With every syllable, he built upon the fabric of trust that held them together, reinforcing their shared commitment to the cause. As dusk deepened into night, the clearing was filled with a solemn determination. The heroes' minds, synchronized by the rhythmic crackle of the campfire, focused now on the task ahead. Under the watchful gaze of the heavens, each warrior felt the beating heart of destiny within their chest, alive with the knowledge that their actions this night could turn the tide for Calydon. Finally settled into their roles, the heroes scanned the forest, senses heightened and patience tested. Each one poised as part of a larger whole, where movement was calculated and silence was golden. The strategy hinged on precision, a dance of shadows beneath the moonlit sky, where timing and intuition wove together like strands of fate. Prepared and aligned with their purpose, the heroes waited for the boar's approach. The crackling fire began to dwindle, casting long shadows that stretched across the forest floor. The night enveloped them in its tranquil embrace, yet beneath the surface thrummed the potential for immense energy and transformation. As they gazed into the obscurity of the forest, swords and spears held ready, they knew that the true test of their resolve was yet to come. In the heart of that darkness, a gathering of legends awaited their chance to turn the page from planning to action, each silently affirming the role they would play in the unfolding saga of the hunt. As nature held its breath, a quiet resolve blossomed among them, the heroes of Calydon silently bonded by their shared purpose and the hopeful promise of victory. Under the moonlit shadows of the Calydonian wilderness, the heroes braced themselves for the second confrontation with the monstrous boar. The forest was alive with the sounds of night, leaves rustling as a gentle breeze swept through. At the forefront stood Atalanta, poised and focused, ready to execute a meticulously laid plan. Her swiftness and agility were paramount, the linchpin of their strategy to lead the boar into a carefully crafted trap. Her heart beat steadily, matching the rhythm of whispers among the trees as she prepared to act. Meleager, the central figure of this heroic assembly, had taken his position ahead of time. He knew the weight of the responsibility that lay upon his shoulders, not just for himself, but for the safety of Calydon. It was under his watchful eye that the plan had taken shape, devised with input from all the brave warriors who had gathered. His placement was strategic, holding a vantage point that allowed him to oversee the unfolding situation and be ready to strike when the moment demanded. The tension in the forest heightened as the creature they pursued emerged from the underbrush, its presence marked by the earth-shaking thud of its hooves. The Calydonian Boar, sent by the goddess Artemis in wrath, was a fearsome sight against the shrouded forest. Instinctively, the gigantic beast locked its gaze upon Atalanta, mistaking her calm appearance for vulnerability. With a thunderous snort, the boar charged forward, a behemoth of muscle and fury, intent on crushing everything in its path. Atalanta moved with the grace of the swift-footed hunter she was. With a nimbleness born of her years in the wild, she sidestepped the imminent clash, narrowly evading its tusks. Her movements were not just evasive but also a careful dance, drawing the boar further into the trap laid by the heroes. In the silent communication of mutual understanding, the heroes closed in around the beast, cutting off its retreat and securing the perimeter. Meleager, with a spear crafted for such a monumental task, saw the opportune moment and did not hesitate. His attack was precise, landing the first significant blow that reverberated through the forest like a signal of hope. It was the kind of strike that turned the tide of battles, striking fear and uncertainty into the monstrous heart of the boar. Around him, the other heroes rallied, inspired by his valor, and moved to encircle the beast further. The persistent clang of weapons hitting the boar echoed against the backdrop of the forest, a testament to the struggle between man and beast. Each warrior brought their own strength to bear, sending arrows and spears, testing the metal against the boar's formidable nature. The boar, with unyielding ferocity, retaliated with renewed vigor, swiping with its tusks and charging at those who dared approach too closely. Yet, despite the raw power it wielded, the coordinated efforts of the heroes began to show effect. As the skirmish continued, the heroes did not relent. They had devised a strategy that capitalized on their strengths, and with every calculated move, the beast grew more beleaguered. The confidence within the group surged. This time, they had anticipated its wrath and responded with clarity and composure. Each successful maneuver, each dodged attack, brought them closer to victory. In the heart of the melee, Meleager stood resolute. His leadership provided a beacon of courage for his companions, galvanizing them to persist in the face of daunting odds. The once overwhelming force of the boar now met an equally formidable assembly, a united front of valor and strategy. Despite the initial chaos, the battle settled into a rhythm. The heroes adapted to the challenges presented, each obstacle refining their resolve. As they fought on, their individual strengths coalesced into a concerted effort that slowly but surely turned the tide of battle. With the moon still casting its silvery glow across the screen of trees, the heroes' spirits were buoyed by the progress they observed. The Calydonian Boar, while still a formidable adversary, showed signs of strain amidst the tussle. The moonlit night bore witness to not just a struggle of might, but one of strategic brilliance and cooperative prowess. The evening seemed to stretch with possibility, the heroes' confidence growing with each advance against their mighty foe. Yet, as the night continued its watch, the climax of their hunt loomed on the horizon, as inevitable as the dawn was to follow the night. In the dense shadows of the Calydonian forest, the battle with the legendary boar reached its most intense moments. Meleager, attuned to the flow of the fight and the signs of destiny, remembered a detail from the prophecy that had loomed over him since birth. It was whispered by the fates that his confrontation with the beast would hinge upon a union of bravery and foresight. The memory of this detail filled him with a renewed sense of purpose, shaping his resolve. Meanwhile, the moonlight cast a silvery glow across the glade where Atalanta, agile and perceptive, spotted an opportunity that had been elusive until now. With her acute instincts and swift movements, she recognized a momentary lapse in the boar's awareness, a weak spot that appeared fleetingly. Trusting her instincts, she signaled to Meleager with a subtle gesture, guiding his attention to the boar's vulnerability. Through their brave coordination, the heroes found themselves poised to exploit this vital chance. Meleager, spurred on by Atalanta's keen observation, summoned his courage and devised a maneuver that was both daring and inspired. He led his comrades with great precision, their concerted efforts steering the ferocious boar into a constricted area of the forest. This tight corner, shrouded in shadows and flanked by gnarled oaks, would prove the site of their last stand. It was here the prophecy's threads entwined with the unfolding events, bringing the swirling chaos of battle into sharp focus. With their combined might, the brave heroes applied a relentless and synchronized assault on the monstrous creature, executing the plan crafted with foresight and skill. The boar's fierce resistance was gradually tempered by their unwavering determination, its formidable energy now waning. Each hero played their part, some drawing the beast's savage attention, while others delivered incisive hits that chipped away at its monstrous strength. In the embrace of destiny's guidance, Meleager landed a decisive blow, his spear piercing with a precision, almost as if divinely guided. This act, a culmination of his bravery and fulfillment of the prophecy, signaled the turning point in their battle. The blow struck true, deep, and with a reverberation that echoed destiny's design. It was as if the forest itself held its breath, witnessing this moment of culmination. As the boar staggered, its energy rapidly diminished, the heroes gathered their courage and renewed their efforts. Driven by the momentum of Meleager's strike, they rallied together, their spirits lifted by the taste of imminent victory. The mighty creature, once an embodiment of divine wrath, found itself on the brink of defeat. Its thrashing movement slowed, only the defiant spark in its eyes remaining of its earlier ferocity. With the end close in sight and momentum on their side, the heroes pressed on for the final strike. They were unified by a shared purpose, each reflecting the bravery that shone through their shared struggle. The boar, now cornered and overwhelmed, found its once commanding presence eroded by the combined valor of those assembled. The moment of victory became palpable, tangible in the midnight air. The very forest, as if acknowledging the ancient battle's resolution, seemed to soften into tranquility. The triumphant mood was tempered by the solemn understanding that destiny and prophecy were inseparable architects of this moment. As the heroes stood amidst the forest shadows, with the defeated boar before them, they allowed themselves the briefest moment of reflection on the journey that had brought them here. With the boar vanquished, and the weight of prophecy momentarily lifted, the heroes could finally glimpse the consequences that such victories entail. Yet, within the heart of this resonant stillness lay hints of what was to come. For prophecies, like the stories of heroes, have a way of unraveling further complexities unforeseen in their immediate glow. One mystery unfolded, while deeper threads awaited realization as they returned to Calydon. What had been achieved this night was not merely a triumph over a creature, but a convergence of fate's design with human resolve. Victory rendered the evening harmonious, yet curiously quiet, knowing more paths and choices awaited under the watchful gaze of destiny. The news of the victorious hunt spread like a gentle breeze across the verdant lands of Calydon. The monstrous Calydonian Boar, once the fearsome bane of the kingdom, lay defeated by a group of brave heroes led by the valiant Meleager. The people of Calydon, once shadowed by fear, now prepared to honor their champions with a grand feast. Ample tables were laden with offerings, the finest fruits and meats, and the air hummed with a festive spirit that had long been absent from the land. As the sun set, casting golden hues over the kingdom, the heroes assembled at the grand banquet. The atmosphere was jubilant, with torches flickering in the gentle summer breeze, illuminating the faces of proud warriors and grateful townspeople alike. All eyes remained on Meleager, who had not only led the charge, but had also landed the decisive blow against the boar. His bravery and leadership were recounted over and over, the stories echoing through the night as a living testament to his glory. During the festivities, Meleager stood before the gathering, a quiet yet commanding presence. Gifts and prizes were to be distributed to honor the efforts of each hero. The most coveted trophy, the magnificent boar's hide, was to be awarded to the one deemed most deserving. It was a prize of great honor, symbolizing victory over a foe sent by a goddess. As the time came for the allocation of this esteemed prize, a respectful hush fell over the crowd. Meleager, moved by fairness and admiration, declared that Atalanta would receive the boar's hide. Her agility and strategic mind had been instrumental in the hunt, and Meleager wished to honor her skill and bravery in the face of danger. The announcement brought a round of cheers from those who recognized the prowess of the swift-footed heroine. Her contribution had been undeniable, and many in the crowd nodded in agreement with Meleager's choice. However, amidst the applause, a murmur of dissent began to ripple through the gathering. Meleager's uncles, brothers of his mother Althea, frowned at his decision. This act of rewarding a woman, though it resonated with fairness, defied the traditional norms of the kingdom. The uncles felt slighted, believing the prize should remain within the male kin to uphold familial pride and honor. Their discontent grew, darkening the festive atmosphere with a shadow of familial discord. Voices rose as Meleager's uncles openly challenged his decision. The air, once filled with joyous laughter, now crackled with tension. To them, this was more than a mere oversight. It was a breach of tradition that could not be overlooked. Meleager stood firm, defending his choice with the quiet strength of someone who had faced both beasts and the will of a goddess. Yet, in the undercurrent of celebration lay the whisper of prophecy, a reminder of foretold consequence. The argument escalated, drawing in more of those gathered. Words became heated, emotions flared, and what began as a celebration of triumph teetered on the brink of turmoil. Meleager, though resolute, felt the bittersweet sting of failing to foster unity at such a moment. He sensed the threads of his deep bonds with family being tested by unseen forces, the very prophecy that had lingered over him since birth. As the festive lights flickered against the deepening night, the celebration transformed into a dramatic turning point. The family disagreements threatened to unravel the honor and celebration of a hard-won victory. The scene was set for the burdens of prophecy to uncoil in the hearts of those involved, as the echoes of fate whispered ominously to those willing to listen. Even as the banquet continued, the seeds of the tragic events to come were sown beneath the peaceful veneer, urging forward the prophecy that held Meleager's fate in its unyielding grasp. The heroes, once united and joyful, now faced an uncertain road, shadowed by unrest. The night hinted at a destiny yet to unfold, carrying with it the potential for both honor and heartbreak, as kinship and prophecy struggled to coexist. Amidst the fading echoes of celebration, a grim tension hung in the air of Calydon as night descended. Within the festive gatherings, whispers of discontent began to weave their way through conversations, like an unseen shadow creeping in unnoticed. Meleager, resolute in his decision to honor Atalanta with the prize of the boar's hide, found himself confronting a familial storm. His uncles, unable to accept his choice, approached him with hearts aflame with anger and indignation. The gathering's mood shifted as Meleager's uncles voiced their grievances. They accused him of unjust favoritism, questioning why a woman should receive the prize when there were many other deserving warriors among them. In their eyes, Meleager's decision was a slight against family honor and tradition, a sacrilege not easily forgiven. The gathered heroes and townspeople watched anxiously as what once was a celebration of victory began to unravel into discord. Meleager stood firm, his gaze unwavering as he listened to his uncle's accusations. He believed in Atalanta's deserving nature, acknowledging her pivotal role in the hunt. But as the confrontation grew heated, the festal air turned to one of brewing conflict. Words once spoken could not be undone, and in the face of rising tempers, an argument unfolded that would soon find itself entangled in the threads of destiny. Anger is a dangerous fire, and in the cauldron of accusation and pride, it burns fiercely. Meleager, swayed by the intensity of the dispute and his own indignation, found himself striking out against his uncles. The noble warrior spirit within him gave way to a darker shadow, leading him to slay those bound to him by blood. The clash, brief yet cataclysmic, left a poignant stillness that blanketed the gathered. A rupture within the family that could not be mended now scarred the night. Far away from the battlefield of words and actions, where destiny unfurled itself with gentle yet cruel precision, Alia was enveloped in sorrow as news of her brother's fate reached her ears. Her heart could not fathom the loss, the hand of destiny reaching out to claim its due. In her mind, the echoes of the prophecy resounded. The burning log, the fate entwined with her son's existence. Grief entwined with understanding as she grappled with the relentless pull of prophecy upon her family's fate. Shrouded in the quietude of her private chamber, Alia was faced with the impossibility of her predicament. The fire of prophecy flickered in her thoughts, an insistent reminder of its looming presence. The log, safely hidden from sight yet ever present in her mind, seemed to hum with an eerie authority. Alia knew the destiny foretold could brook no defiance, yet her own heart cried out against the burden it sought to claim. She stood at the crossroads of love and fate, compelled by forces she could neither escape nor deny. In this moment, which stood both timeless and instantaneous, Alia felt the weight of a choice only she could make. She bore the burden not only of a mother's love, but also of prophecy's inexorable path. Torn between protecting the mythic destiny of her son and her desire to preserve him, she felt the profound pull of an age-old battle within. As tears traced silent paths down her cheeks, Alia held the log, the hardened wood emblematic of her grief and resilience. Here was the burning essence of the prophecy entwining Meleager's very soul with its inevitable conclusion. Yet as she sensed every heartbeat and moment spent, the reality emerged that her son's path had long been carved by celestial hands in ways only myth could endure. The night seemed to sigh with the winds of fate, whispering of choices unspooling from the threads of time itself. Within her chamber, Alia faced her excruciating decision, balanced upon the precipice of love against destiny. It was a weight only a mother could bear, this understanding of loving beyond fate's cruel inevitability, even as the prophecy's cruel design unfolded. The gentle, inevitable end drew nearer as the seeds of choice were scattered on the winds of destiny. In the quiet seclusion of her chamber, Alia pondered the course that had brought her to this tragic juncture. The room, dimly lit by the pale light of early dawn seeping through the drawn curtains, seemed to mirror the turmoil within her heart. Her thoughts drifted back to the joy and hope that filled the day Meleager entered the world, a gift of life starkly juxtaposed against the foreboding prophecy whispered by the fates. It was then they revealed that his life was tied to the lifespan of a burning log placed upon the hearth by her own hands. In an act of love, she had hidden it away, vowing to protect her son from his destined demise. Yet now, the dire prophecy loomed like an unwelcome specter, urging her toward a decision she had evaded for all Meleager's life. The roar of her heart conflicted with the cold insistence of destiny's call. Weariness settled over her, accentuating the painful weight of her impending choice. Althea stepped toward the hearth, where the charred remains of prophecies lingered as silent witnesses to acts of heroism and bloodshed. Her vision blurred by tears, she conjured the vivid memories of Meleager's boyhood, a time when laughter echoed through the hallways and innocence reigned. Each cherished moment resurfaced in her mind with startling clarity. Meleager's boyish wonder at the simplest of discoveries, his boundless energy as he raced through fields, and the way his laughter brightened even the gloomiest days. Althea's heart ached at the thought of what must be done, her love for her son battling furiously against the relentless machinations of fate. She could still see the innocence in his eyes, a glimmer that had never faded despite the battles and burdens he had borne. The pull of destiny, however, was as inexorable as the turning of the stars. With a trembling hand, Althea reached into the hearth to retrieve the faded log. Its surface, once vibrant with the colors of life, was now cloaked in a dull patina of impending doom. Setting the log aside, she took a deep breath, fortifying herself against the sorrow that surged like a torrent through her very being. A final deep breath and she rose, torch in hand, the flickering light casting long shadows that danced across the chamber walls. The flames devoured the log with an eagerness that mirrored her own reluctance. As the fire consumed the wood, a painful truth settled within Althea. She had played her part in a tragedy foretold long before her time. Watching the flames climb higher, she knew they were the messengers of an irreversible fate. Though no words were spoken, the solemnity of the act resonated through the space, telling untold stories of love sacrificed at the altar of destiny. The intense heat of the blaze was mirrored in her chest, a heart-rending pang that acknowledged the intimate bond of mother and son, now charred by inevitable loss. The room filled with the acrid scent of smoldering wood, an olfactory reminder of the finality that carpeted the tragedy. Yet, in that moment, Althea's tears ceased. Acceptance, while slow in coming, began to unfurl its tendrils, wrapping around her like a bittersweet shroud. The fire diminished to embers, the log reduced to ash in memory, signaling the close of a chapter written in sorrow and love. Althea gazed into the dimming flames, her heart heavy with the weight of the decision she had made. She had honored the promise of the fates, secured by love and fulfilled by fire. The silence that followed was profound, encapsulating the remnants of fate's bitter decree. In the receding darkness, a fragile peace began to emerge, a quiet lull amidst the storm of anguish. As dawn approached, Althea understood that her actions would ripple beyond her lifetime, etched forever into the annals of memory and myth. The prophecy had spoken, its language of destiny was now fulfilled. Alone, surrounded by the whispers of her heart, she wore the solemn crown of fate's architect, knowing that her son's legacy would endure even as the flames flickered into oblivion. With quiet resolve, she prepared to face the consequences of her heart's ultimate betrayal, knowing that love had guided her hand to fulfill what history and destiny demanded. The dawn brought with it an air heavy with an unfamiliar stillness, as if the very world held its breath in anticipation. In a nearby chamber, Meleager, brave and stalwart even in relaxation, suddenly felt an overpowering heat rising within him, a sensation not born of the morning sun, but of an inner calamity, consequence of destiny now in motion. It was as though a fire of unnatural origin had seeped into his being, taking hold with an intensity that demanded his immediate understanding. His body turned weak, and with a heavy thud, he collapsed to the ground, the full truth of the ancient prophecy unfolding vividly within his mind. This mysterious fire, unexplainable yet undeniable, signaled the culmination of what the fates had decreed. The burning log, now consumed by flames in his mother Altea's grief-stricken hands, mirrored the consuming fire in Meleager's own life force. He understood that his end was nigh, a realization fortified by the serenity with which he accepted his fate. Meleager lay still, eyes reflecting a quiet resignation amid the mounting intensity, as the prophecy that had shadowed his life now rose to claim its due. As news of Meleager's untimely demise spread with the morning light, grief settled like a hushed tide over the assembled heroes. The celebration of the realm's defenders turned mournful as their leader, their spirited beacon, was now lost to them. Shock rippled through Calydon. Byword of brave battles and unfinished dreams lay heavy across the land. The assembled warriors who had stood beside him, shared victories in recent battles, were now left grappling with the void his absence created, a stark reminder that even heroes could not escape thee. Decisions shaped by divine will. Family members gathered under the muted sky, their hearts laden with the sorrowful weight of mourning a valiant son, a cherished brother, and a leader whose life had been the embodiment of courage. In their hearts swelled a tempest of emotions, pride tangled with an unvoiced sorrow, knowing that he had lived as he had been told he must, even as his life was claimed by a fate sealed before his first breath. They remembered the boy who had grown into a protector, recognizing how deeply intertwined the strands of life and destiny were, and finding in that complex weave their own solace in this sorrowed hour. The people of Calydon too were enshrouded in grief, as the crowd formed solemn lines leading toward the temple, seeking to pay homage to Meleager's heroism. In recognition of his valor and sacrifice, they laid mourning flowers across the steps of the temple, a gesture symbolic of their respect and a silent testament to their shared loss. Among them were both those who had known him personally and those whose lives had been touched indirectly by the protection he had so valiantly afforded his homeland. As they gathered in contemplative silence, there was unity in their shared tribute, honoring the hero he had been and the depth of his contribution to their respite from turmoil. Amid the mounting grief, Althea found herself caught within a storm of guilt and profound sorrow. The prophecy had woven its inexorable thread through her life and that of her son, and now, in following its path, she found herself at the nexus of destiny fulfilled and the raw agony of loss that now encased her heart. She sat, withdrawn yet ever encompassed by the filial bonds that now weighed upon her spirit like the heaviest of chains. Althea's choice, made in heartache's deepest shadow, now unfurled its full consequence, a searing pain that resonated as a brutal testament to a mother's love ensnared by the whims of fate. Thus the sky was laden with the hue of inevitable fulfillment, its grayness a canvas for reflection and memory. The world of Calydon, once echoing with the triumphant praise of heroes bound for glory, now echoed the soft whispers of names cherished and histories remembered. It was in this atmosphere of quiet reflection that the people found themselves drawn together, their individual griefs coalescing into a singular, somber unity, a community bound by the weight and wisdom of their shared history and stories rendered eternal by fate's guiding hand. In the gentle transition from night to day, the people of Calydon understood one truth above all, that in the face of destiny, what endures is the reflection found within each other, a reflection that spoke more deeply to the strength of familial bonds than any decree of the divine. As the first light of dawn flickered over the morning gathering, they prepared to move forward, stepping into the future that awaited. As the first light of dawn gently illuminated the hills of Calydon, a new day began amidst the lingering shadows of loss. The air, still carrying the echoes of grieving hearts, now offered a tender embrace, enveloping the city in a quiet reverence. In these rising rays, the life of Meleager, a hero of unparalleled honor and courage, was reflected upon by all who had known him. His bravery had been marked not just by the ferocity with which he faced the Calydonian Boar, but also by his unwavering commitment to his homeland and the ties that bound him to its people. The tales of his daring deeds and steadfast leadership had woven themselves into the very fabric of Calydon's history, ensuring that his legacy would forever endure. Meleager's journey through the labyrinth of destiny offered profound lessons to those who remained. His life, a tapestry interwoven with prophecy and valor, revealed the delicate balance between fate's inescapable hands and the choices that define one's path. Calydon, now quiet in reflection, considered not only the victory he had achieved, but the deeper truths revealed through his actions. His story was a reminder that while destinies might be foretold, the essence of heroism lies in the courage to face them with steadfast determination and grace. Among the mourners, Althea stood with a heart aching under the weight of profound sorrow, her mind lingering on moments when Meleager had been her cherished child, laughing and vibrant. The love she bore him had been a guiding light, but now it was shadowed by the choices she made under the gaze of destiny. Her heart, once alight with maternal pride, now struggled against tides of guilt and loss. She reflected on the harsh reality that, despite her attempts to alter fate's course, the prophecy had unfolded, sealing the fate of her beloved son. Yet within this acceptance there lingered a notion of peace, a whisper of understanding that spoke to the enduring power of love that can transcend even the harshest truths. King Oeneus, amidst his own ruminations, pondered the legacy left by his son. As the king, he understood the necessity of heralding the noble deeds that defined their people, but as a father, Meleager's absence struck a deeper, more personal loss. The triumph against the boar was a chapter closed, yet the lessons his son imparted through his bravery would serve as a guiding star for future generations. In contemplating these legacies, King Oeneus knew that the strength of Meleager's character would live on, revered by all who carried forward his story. Around the city, an acceptance began to take root among the community, acknowledging that within triumph, tragedy is a fellow passenger. The celebrations of victory were now whispers of memory, replaced by a quiet hope that the peace brought by their hero's sacrifice would remain. The people of Calydon gathered, not only to mourn, but to honor the indelible impact of choices and the strength found in family bonds. Through this collective remembrance, the pain of separation decreased, as warmth and pride in Meleager's feats became solace. Letting go of pain did not mean erasing the past, but rather carrying forward the lessons with gentle resolve. By keeping alive the memory and honor of Meleager's achievements, his story would transcend its tragic end, echoing within the hearts of Calydon's people as a testament to the entwined power of destiny and choice. Each retelling of the tale served as a tribute, not only to Meleager but to all who stood beside him, facing not just beasts of the forest but the more intricate challenges presented by fate. As the sun rose higher above the tranquil landscape, its golden rays entwined with the rose and soft amber hues of the sky, signaling a new beginning. The time of darkness gave way to a hopeful light, carrying with it the eternal nature of myths and the enduring strength derived from unity and sacrifice. The story of Meleager would persist as an integral thread in the rich tapestry of mythical narratives, guiding and inspiring those who listen to its message of courage, love, and acceptance. One day, many generations hence, The tale of the Calydonian hero would be recounted yet again, passed from one voice to another, ensuring that the enduring lessons of bravery, fate, and family remain an integral part of Calydon's spirit. And so, as the gentle light enveloped the city, the people embraced the bittersweet serenity that comes with the understanding of myth and the acceptance of all the intertwined stories it holds.